gonna do for you? Pull the trigger.
Maybe you should pull the fucking trigger.
We're good. Good afternoon. After you watch the body-worn camera, you know this is not like Hollywood. This is the reality. And reality is never going to be like Hollywood movie. There's chaos and fog. The one thing you saw in there was that there was about an hour worth of negotiation that went on beforehand. They tried to fuse the situation. They wanted a peaceful resolution. There's no script to how it's going to turn out. But I always go back to thank God our Lord was looking over Chris, that there was good people like Bill out there and our deputies, and Chris has come back to work and he's out there back again protecting our citizens. But there is a big similarity between this video and Hollywood movies, is that there's heroes. There's heroes like Chris. You see in that video the instinct, training, and leadership. You saw him, and I know because of the body-worn camera, we can't show you what happened inside the house with that negotiation I was going on with the deputy, but you saw Chris outside saying, we'll say this, let's go with that, and they're going back and forth talking. The one thing though is, when you watch that video, and there's so many different things that come in the emotions you have, but when you see that fight to live, that was coming through. And, Chris is a true warrior out there. Deputy Stone's family, Chris's family, they're heroes. Seeing him at the hospital when we visit them and his family, a lot of times, you see what's on TV, you see what goes on, but you don't see what we as family members, our families have to, deal with us, and the support that they give us. And, getting that call that, your loved one's been shot and seeing the family around them, they are true heroes. Bill Reiki, standing here with us today. There were probably a lot of neighbors, a lot of people in society that would have just picked up a cell phone and said, I'm not going to get involved, I'm just going to videotape this and I'm going to put it on my social media and I'll get a lot of views. But that would not have saved somebody's life. And Bill rushing out there and doing what he did, that saved somebody's life. The other deputies on scene, you talk about, they were going to do everything in their power to make sure that their loved one, the family member, accolades, they deserve it. For everything they've done out there, they deserve it. And I got to spend some time again today talking to Chris and meeting with Bill, and I'll tell you, he's one helpful person, and I want to thank him very much. So, Chris.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Deputy Chris Stone, and I want to start off by thanking the sheriff and the rest of the command staff and everybody else at the sheriff's office for the tremendous support. The community, I can't tell you, I wish I could name everyone who came to see me, who sent cards and flowers, fruit baskets. It was tremendous. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone who did that. Like the sheriff was saying, I'm very fortunate to have my family with me and my second family, which is everybody else here at the sheriff's office. There was just such a tremendous support, which in the situation that I was in was very helpful, and it was much needed. So I kind of want to stress a little bit about the night that this all happened. This was one of those very run-of-the-mill type calls that we routinely go to. It was a domestic call, and we did know that there was a shot that was fired and that there was a handgun there. What we did not know at the time is all the other weapons that were we spent some time trying to resolve this peacefully, and there came a point that it was decided that we're going to go in and make an arrest. Again, one of those things that we do routinely every day. And it was just one of those things. He, I guess, decided he didn't want to go to jail and ambushed us inside the house. So, I guess I'll turn it back over to the sheriff and.
It's over to you guys. I was going to say, it goes to them, so I can imagine there's questions out there, so.
Deputy Stone, when did it not become routine?
It did not become routine as soon as we entered or attempted to enter the suspect's bedroom and began shooting.
What do you remember about that night?
Pretty much all of it. Yeah, I remember all of it.
Do you remember the moment you knew that you were shot?
I do. Yes, it was the odd thing, and I've been in some of these situations before. They haven't turned out, as severe as this, and shots weren't fired at us. However, there was an oddity. The position that I was in the stack, we had a shield to protect us. The front guy had a shield as he was a SWAT team member. And as soon as the shots were fired, I remember seeing a spark that came from our side of the shield, which is not normal. And then I felt a punch in the leg. And my thought process was, it's a leg wound, and get a handgun, so I'm good. So we ended up engaging in a little gun battle inside the house. And it was shortly after that I realized that it was more severe. I started to get very lightheaded, and it felt like somebody had taken a garden hose and just turned it on full and stuck it down my pant leg. So at that point I realized it was a lot more severe than just a flesh wound.
How many people were with you at this point in time, or was it just you?
At the point in time when the shooting occurred, there were 4 of us in the house as the arrest team. Myself and Deputy Stritt ended up in a bedroom. The other 2 deputies that were in there were able to self-extricate from the house.
Have you seen the video?
Yes, I have.
Any kind of thoughts or memories that come back? I noticed you were talking about your family in
Yes.
the video. I can't imagine what that must have been like thinking about them in that moment.
Yeah, so what you don't see because of the rules and laws of the video that can't be released, I actually passed out inside the house. And when I woke up, I had that thought of my family. Was today going to be the last time my wife, my kids, and my parents saw me when I went to work? And I realized that wasn't going to be acceptable, and I had to get out of the house.
You certainly have a law enforcement family behind you that saved your life out there as well.
Yes, and thankfully for Bill that he was there. He was outside. He heard it all. He heard them saying that there was an officer down, and told him bring him to me. And he stepped up and he did everything he could. Found the wound, found where it was, got my pants cut to expose it. They put a tourniquet on my leg, which is ultimately what saved my life. You gotta stop that bleeding. Otherwise, an arterial wound will bleed out anywhere in 3 to 5 minutes. With mine, the round went in and fragmented and severed both my femoral and venous artery. So there was a lot of blood. So fortunately, we all carry tourniquets. Some carry multiple tourniquets, and that was able to be applied and ultimately saved my life.
How was the recovery process?
The recovery process in the beginning was hard. It was painful. It's a leg wound, and it did a lot of damage to my muscle. But to me, you got to have that positive mindset, and I just worked at it, stayed persistent with everything, and as long as everything was feeling good, I did double what the physical therapist had me doing, and luckily I was able to get back to work quickly, which is great. It's nice to get back to your normal life and doing what you're doing, because it's very discouraging when you can't even put on your own socks in the morning. So I need to get back to a normal life.
Is there anything you would do different now at this time? I mean, being that all this happened?
No, sir. I don't think so. Not given the information that we knew then. so hindsight 2020, yes, but we didn't know at the time. Given the information that we had at that point in time, we would have done the same.
Seems like you're all geared up. You ready to go to work today?
I am, yes.
What's your mindset? I mean, you said this is a routine call. There are going to be more calls like this, I'm sure. What is your mindset going forward from here?
It is coming out here and doing my job, doing what I love to do. I had been back to work for about a week and a half now, and we had a call the other day of a felony warrant suspect inside a house, and he wasn't coming out. We had to go in and get him, almost along the same lines. We just didn't have that same dialogue that we did with this gentleman.
Did the injury leave any permanent damage?
Yes. I have a slight deformity to my leg. I have some nerve damage in my lower leg because the tourniquet was on for so long. I had blood clots in my lower leg, so they had to do surgery, obviously, to fix the artery. The veins were tied off. They utilized a vein from my left leg to repair the artery in my right leg, so I have a few scars from it.
We hear about this so often, but we don't normally get to speak to the deputy, that experienced it. How are you and your family doing 2.5 months later?
Everybody's great. Life is back to normal. Thankfully, like the other gentleman said, I come from a law enforcement family. Ironically, back in the 80s, my dad, who also worked for the sheriff's office, was shot. So we've been through it before.
This your first time being shot?
Yes, sir.
Not first time being shot at.
I haven't directly, there's been shots fired. I haven't directly been shot at before. So.
And what was it? You were hit with from a handgun, or what was the weapon used from the shot?
It was an assault rifle.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
For Bill?
Are you doing
questions for
like
Bill.
mental health?
No,
treatment or anything?
as a policy and procedure, we do anytime something like this happens, we do go see a psychological, or go for a psychological. So we went through all that, and he cleared me, and everything's good.
Bill?
Welcome back. I have a few questions for you.
Hi, how are you? I'm Bill Rickey from upstate New York, ex-fireman from East Fishkill Fire District. And just lucky enough to be in the right spot at the right time to help Chris out.
Bill, what's it like to see Deputy Stone up walking around back to work?
It's good. It's real good. Just glad I was there to help him out and make sure he went home to his family. It's too close to Father's Day for all that to be going on. Having kids you went home, I can only imagine what they were thinking, how they were feeling.
Your firefighter training kick in, what was going through your mind?
Just do what I had to do. Nothing was going through my mind except helping him out. There was no thought process. When you go through the training, you spend your life doing that stuff. It's just, you do what has to be done. These days, everybody just wants to hold up a phone and take pictures and video and see how many likes they get on Facebook. And when drop the cameras, get involved. Stop standing around watching somebody get beat up. Drop your camera and help them out.
We heard a lot of people kind of encouraging him, hang on, we're right here. Were you one of those people kind of talking him through things as well?
I didn't make any voiced or visual contact with him until the very end, when I knew that the tourniquet was on and 2 members of Pasco Fire and Rescue had made it to the scene. I got up, walked away, and that was when I finally, I don't know if you saw a video of it, I bent down, made a fist bump with him, and told him, you're all right, you're gonna make it. And I just went back to my house. Found out the next day that nobody knew who I was. I wish it would have stayed that way.
How do you spell your last name?
RICCI.
It's pronounced
Ricky.
Bill, now you say you just had no thought process at the time, but most people coming out of the house hearing gunshots run away. You ran towards it, but the thought process in your head, what was like,
I didn't even hear gunfire. I seen Chris hit the ground. When he came out of the house and collapsed in front of the house, I seen him hit the ground, and I turned to my wife and told her, get inside, get me towels, whatever you can get your hands on. And by the time she came back out, I was already out in the street. Two of his guys had drug him out to where I was, or out to the street, to where I could get to him. And from that moment on, I didn't hear anything else going on the scene. I can't tell you anything that happened anywhere else on it. Except for one point when I looked up to make sure I had somebody with a weapon standing close enough aimed in that direction to cover me. That was the only thing I remember looking up and seeing.
So you were
my focus was on him, trying to find out where it was. You know, they were trying to get all his gear and everything off him, trying to find out where he was shot, and I just happened to get lucky enough to notice that there was no blood at the bottom of his gear. Everything was on his legs. So I'm just glad I got out there. Otherwise, chances are he'd have been laying in the street in front of the house.
So it seems like after Chris got hurt, everybody went defensive until he was safe, I guess is the best way to say it.
They actually, we've done interaction reports and we're going to continue to do interaction reports, but as this is going on and they were providing Chris care, there was actually an overwatch. And thank God that overwatch was in position because that's when the suspects started firing rounds. And then the deputies provided that shield of cover for fire rescue, for Bill, and for other people as they're protecting Chris, but they started responding with rounds onto the suspect.
Wow.
I think there was an initial report from this incident that someone else on scene was injured. Was there another injury that happened?
No, it was a minor, maybe scrapes or bruises, but nothing to this extent. And
was it ever determined how Mr. Peterson was shot?
Yes, it was actually, we determined, the autopsy determined that he was self-inflicted wound.
So it sounds like you have two heroes, at least recently here in Pasco County, including the one from last night.
No, we do, and that's the thing. It kind of goes back to what Bill says. You know, get involved. You can't be a bystander in life. You know, life is a full contact sport, and you have to get off the sidelines. You have to be involved. And when somebody needs help, you have to go out there and help. You have to do something. I don't know how somebody could live their life just watching from the sidelines. And so, you know, you have people that stand up and do something. And, you know, it doesn't have to be to that level of bravery sometimes. You know, the level we're talking about in the past, you know, Bill, and last night you're talking exceptional level. But it could just be when somebody's down, give them a hug. When somebody's out, they help them up. That's all we need to do as a community is just help each other, and we'll be much better off.
I have a two-part question, and he kind of hit on it. Last night, you know, there was a domestic violence, same kind of thing, same kind of call. Maybe, I don't know if it's the same, but same kind of scenario there. Any new information, first of all, on that from last night?
No, everything we put out there is still out there, and the detectives are still working the case, and we work with the state attorneys on it.
And then also, how much, you know, this situation and that last night's situation, you know, is there any kind of similarities? Could have been worse last night with, I guess, the neighbor helping. I don't know the whole situation.
Right, yeah. No, I get it. Last night was a domestic situation. This situation started off as domestic. I go back to it, you know. A lot of times, the big things that get focused on are the robberies, you know, the random homicide, the driving situations where people are shooting at each other. But the consistent crime that goes on in our community, in every community, is domestic violence. That is a cycle, but unfortunately, it doesn't get the attention because I think we live in a society where people are just used to it, and we can't be. You can't just be used to that crime. And so, people do for the amount of domestic violence or domestic disputes our deputies go to every day, it's a very high number. The ones that turn to that level of violence, whether on their loved ones or towards law enforcement, you know, we see that and it's peaks, and so that's why those are very dangerous situations because there is such passion involved. So yes, you know, I think, and I don't have the statistics here, but you know, when you look at law enforcement shootings, law enforcement situations, some of the most dangerous that we deal with are domestic violence cases. And so that's why, you know, when you hear a domestic violence call go out, we're always automatically sending as many as we can. If we send 2 deputies, get 2 deputies there. Because as many as we go to, you never know which one is going to turn out like this or like last night.
Did last night's hero have any criminal justice training? That was something that they heard at the scene.
And this is the interesting. So recently we just went to the Marcy, you know, following the Marcy's law to make sure, and this I understand from your profession, it's going to make it more difficult on you. And it makes
well, that doesn't identify the victim.
It could. It possibly could. And so that's the thing. I can't. This is the citizens voted on Marcy's law. I want to make sure we follow Marcy's law. So please, I do everything in my power to provide as much information. but there's certain things I can't do because it could possibly identify who people involved were.
So we'll never know who the dead person is?
The issue we had in that situation was that I stated it was a neighbor was involved. If we give out any information, I can identify the victim. During the session, they thought there may be clarity to this law. There wasn't, and so this has put law enforcement in a situation that we have to follow what's out there right now. And unless something changes, we're going to follow the law the way it's written. Because if we do release something that is put out there and put the victim in, information out there, you're not the one who's going to get sued. We are.
So if the guy lived and survived and you put him in jail, that would be different because there would be a charging document.
Yeah, I don't. That's why we have to go back to. That's why our attorneys have been very busy to make sure that we enact this. And I go back to that. I know your profession is very hard, and I know when you put something out there, you want to make sure it is factually true. And majority of the time, it has been. If the sheriff's office says it, because we may not be the first ones to say it, but when we say it, that's because we've done our research, we've done our homework, and we put out there it's factual. Now Marcy's law has been in place and it wasn't tweaked, and now that we have what we have in law, we have to follow it. And so I know you have a very difficult position like we are, but hopefully we'll find that medium ground and work it out.
Sheriff, when you watch that body camera footage, switching back,
yeah.
What are your thoughts, and do you think that will be used as a learning opportunity? Because it seems like the deputies did everything right.
Yeah, everything's a learning opportunity, and everything is something that we can build upon. When I watched that video, there was a couple of things that came to mind. One is the bravery, and I understand my job is the bottom of the totem pole. I serve the deputies and administrators who serve the citizens of our county. My job is to give them all the tools necessary. And it's interesting because the pendulum swings a lot. And a lot of times people argue, why does law enforcement need this gear? Why do you need those type of vehicles? Why do you need that? Consequences be damned. I will always make sure our members have the best equipment possible that they can get out there, because those life and death situations are there. Whether it be saving Chris's life or whether it be saving a citizen's life, we're going to do everything in our power to protect them, because our society is violent. Everywhere you look in the United States, you see violent things that happen. And so if it means we're going to have to get different equipment, stronger equipment, things that you may have said, oh, that's only for, in war zones. We're going to get it, because if it saves somebody's life, that's critical. The other one too is it goes back to that, we were talking to Bill, because, we're talking about the fact that in high schools, teaching kids, this is something, having somebody who sees something like that, can be able to stop the bleed and save somebody's life, that's critical. But the bottom line is, makes you very proud to be a member of this Pasco Sheriff's Office, because you just see the people caring and concern. But as much as they show that, you see that towards Chris, they do that every day towards our citizens.
Do you think that fire rescue needs a little bit more protection in the field? They were talking about how they responded and there's shots being fired and none of them had any bullet protection.
Yeah, we work with fire rescue. If we can, get Kevlar, helmets, whatever they need, absolutely. Firefighters go through a lot of bad situations. We are. There's firefighter calls that go out that, they think it's a fire, it's a fire call, it's an EMS run, and we're not dispatched, and something can break bad like that. So I absolutely am the first one to say, gear up our firefighters, because they don't know what they're going into either sometimes. All right?
I have a question real quick on a case that you guys sent out this morning about the child abuse case.
All right. Can I get some information on it first, and I'll answer in a second.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Oh, are we able to get a video of Chris kind of...
I already asked.
Dog outside.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Chris, you got time? You want to get a drink or something first? I got time.